Good afternoon, folks. My name is Joe, and my wife Laura and I have been straw bale gardening for, I would say, the last 8 to 10 years. And we just wanted to make a short video here of how to condition your bales when you first get them set up in the configuration you wanted. I want to stress that get them in the place where you want them for the whole season, because after you get them wet, they are unmovable. They'll be so soaked with water that they'll be too heavy to move. So, according to the manual, you're supposed to condition these with high nitrogen fertilizer for 10 days. And during that time, they're supposed to heat up to between 130 and 140 degrees while they're composting, which will effectively kill any weeds or leftover grain that is still in bales, so they won't sprout, and make it a lot softer to plant in. So we use just granulated urea from the garden store, and we essentially just sprinkle it on top of the bales until it's nicely covered. I mean, not crazy, but you should be able to see some of it on the bales. And so we just go around to all of these. This is last year's, so it's a little stuck together. But yeah, just about a half cup per bale. It does take a lot, but trust me, it'll be worth it in the end. So I'll come back when I finish this up, and we'll get to watering them.
And while he's doing that, this is actually the remnants of our bales from last year. We kind of use the pitchfork and clean them out. We just use landscape fabric to go underneath. That way we don't have to worry about weeding in between. So this is all of this old bales from last year. You can see they really broke down in what they composted over the course of the year. That's basically turning into compost right there. So then we also created some raised beds. So we've got 2 there. We usually do in this one we get the rope set up. We'll do cucumbers and other viners. Then over here we do potatoes in this bed right here. And then kind of walking around, we're starting to make more as we fill up those. We'll also amend some of our gardens with that as well. So we'll grow peppers over by the house. They seem to really like it there because it gets hot. And so we'll end up putting some plants in here, whatever we have for overages. I don't really have a big plan. We've done a lot of different things in this garden, but we just kind of put whatever if we buy too many plants or have extras of seedlings, we'll put them in here. Usually put right here a cherry so I can grab some out on the way to work. But this is the one raised bed that we do on the fence line. We do some green beans over here, and then we also will put in melons, and we also do squash over here. So we're gonna get ready to add another raised bed, so eventually we'll kind of be lined over here with raised beds as well, and that's kind of what we do with the bales as they run out of life to use them over there. So it works really well. They're constantly reusable and just a great place to grow stuff in. We also use some of it at the end of the year to compost our garlic. It's a little bit of a mess around here. We're transitioning from winter to summer. So we have garlic growing over here. And then in the middle we have Egyptian walking onion. So we have a wide variety of stuff going on.
Okay, I've got the urea spread on all the bales, and technically you're not supposed to use cold water for this because it will cool the bales off, but I found that it doesn't really matter that much. They will retain their heat from composting, if it's even a reasonably warm day today, or when you water them. So we just basically just put it on soak, and we try to water them so that the granules make their way inside the bales so they can compost on the inside, and just dissolve any of those clumps. It'll run out the bottom. Don't worry about it. The bale will take as much as it needs and let the rest fall out. I just mostly am concerned with making sure that the fertilizer penetrates inside the bales. When you set your bales up, you want them cut side up, so you should see all the little cut ends of the straw. That way it makes it easier for the water and the nutrients to make its way inside. So I am just, I mean, you don't, after the initial water, you don't have to water it a ton, just enough to get that fertilizer down into it. And yeah, in a few days this will start to compost, and we'll stick a food thermometer in there to measure the temperature, and I think we've gotten them up to 140, 42 degrees at times. So it works nicely for making sure you're planting in a very sterile environment.
Yeah, and it's surprising how hot these get sometimes when we're bringing our probe thermometer out here, because sometimes you want to allow 2 to 2.5 weeks before you plan to plant. Because there have been a couple times we've come out here and been like, oh, we should be good to plant, and those were still pretty hot inside. So you don't want to put your
degrees will actually cook your plants. So
yeah. So you want to make sure.
Be careful as far as how much or how hot these things are before you start planting.
Yeah, we've had to delay planting before. We're like, come on, guys, cool down, cool down. We need to get our plants in. Yeah, so plan for 2 or 2.5 weeks. And if you want to read more about it, the best resource really is Joel Karsten has a book called basically How to Grow a Straw Bale Garden. We originally saw his talk on that at Otten Brothers. Like I said, it got 8 to 10 years ago about that, and we started doing it right away, and we have not gone back. We grow tons of heirloom tomatoes in here, and they do really well because they don't get the bounce back from the soil that causes the soil-borne viruses to get on the leaves, and so that just works really, really well to do that. And we run a timer with a soaker hose on it, so we don't even have to worry about watering it. Just occasionally, a couple times during the summer, add some fertilizer, but at the same time, as the bales are breaking down, they will end up, basically turning into compost. There's a lot of nutrients in that too. So,
last year was a drought season, and it was really hard to grow anything. But in these bales, I think we had 15 tomato plants in here, and I would guesstimate, I don't know for sure because they grew ripe at various times throughout the summer. I would guesstimate that we harvested between 400 and 500 pounds of tomatoes off of this little area.
Yep, this is our tomato growing area.
So many that we didn't know what to do with all of them.
We made it work. We figured out a way to preserve them all.
Yeah, it took a long time, but we managed to finally get them all preserved.
So yeah. All right, well, thanks for watching.
Yeah, I'll just finish this up and we'll be back when something new happens.